Welcome to Quantum Key Productions. Today we're going to be talking about what is the crystalline consciousness versus the carbon consciousness. And I want to begin by saying this, which is an ancient, it's actually in the Bible, and there's a lot of truth to it. So it goes like this. Be not afraid of those killing the body and are not able to kill the soul, but fear rather him who's able both soul and body to destroy in Gehenna. The battle between carbon versus crystal, the fall of consciousness and the flesh. The fall of consciousness in the flesh and in the mind, in the heart and in the body. This is what occurred eons ago in cycles when the description of the fall happened. From crystal to carbon and our return to the shimmering frequency of our crystalline consciousness. The time has come upon us where we must move our consciousness beyond the carbon blueprint and into the crystalline consciousness, whereby it is life creation itself and not based on the cycles of regeneration and death cycles of harvesting. The carbon blueprint has been based on the death blueprint. The crystalline blueprint is based on regeneration. This is what is termed the fall, and amnesia is a part of that fall. Amnesia is a part of that carbon blueprint, which has occurred in the overlays that have taken over the synthetic body, the synthetic technology of the way that we perceive reality and are projecting reality and the realms therein. The crystalline consciousness will shatter the carbon-based artificial matrices that have constituted the current paradigm realities we are holographically locked into. Essentially, we must move from the death-based reality systems to the creation of life-based true existence, where reality will be based on our own creation of consciousness and be without limitations. Within the crystalline natural consciousness, transmutation will be experienced. The transition of our DNA will be going essentially from carbon-based to crystalline-based, and this is what we're experiencing now, and this is the dematerialization, the dissolution of the matrix. This is when all of the energies are becoming destabilized, essentially, in this transmutation, in this alteration that is occurring from death to life. This will unlock our innate metaphysical properties and abilities that have been quarantined in containment, trapped beneath the synthetic overlay that has superimposed it with the carbon artificial death machines that have artificially induced aging, death timers, disease, and susceptibilities to bacteria, poisons, toxins, and all things that we would have generally been immune to. The other thing is, what this carbon-based matrix does is it matrixes the DNA, essentially making our bodies and our minds like a computer, affecting a technology. So we have become essentially a technology within the matrix itself, and we're fused in the matrix, and we are a projection of it, much like a computer, and much like a computer simulation. Our cells are the meta reflection of our spirits, which are infinite and are meant to constantly regenerate. Our bodies are designed to be synonymous with our spirits, and in so being, we are therefore a true reflection of what that is. If we are reflecting the carbon artificial programs, overlays, then that is what our bodies will surrender to, aka we will surrender then to disease, death, aging, having vulnerabilities and susceptibilities that are not natural to us. However, if we, through our consciousness, allow our true metacrystallization to shatter the artificial overlays, then we in turn will become the reflection of that cellular regeneration of life. We have been trapped through our own consciousness to accept the carbon consciousness and its blueprint overlays of death. Yes, we are that powerful. Yes, we were that powerful. And yes, there was an attack against that and a hijacking, which meant that they essentially had to corrupt our crystalline original blueprint. The truth is, we have never been a carbon-based consciousness, and that also was largely what the hijacking was about. It was dumbing us down in this way that we had to be synthetically and genetically modified, removing the strands that enabled the division to occur so that we went from being crystal to carbon-based. This is when the death cycles came in. Returning to our source is returning to the crystal state of our consciousness, which means spirit clarity and unlimited meta being. It is a state of being in full consciousness, which means that we would not have amnesia, which means that we would be operating our vehicles with that consciousness of crystal clarity. The carbon-based body consciousness is the metal, or rather the metallic synthetic technology that have taken over Mother and her children, humanity. This is the overlay. The lie is that we were never carbon, but that was induced and injected into our psyches along with the physical intervention through the specific genetic manipulation, be it alien or other, be it AI, alien, and all of the above, all fused as one, because they are all allying together as much as they are fighting together for us, the ultimate resource and Mother. Our genes are living consciousness, but we are not a living spirit creation designed for the death, disease, and decay that we have been suffering ever since the theft and the hijacking of the carbon-based blueprints. This is not natural to us. The fall is the carbon-based superimposed overlays that have resulted in the fall of our own crystalline being to the embodiment of everything opposite to that. The more we transmute our carbon bodies into our crystalline true consciousness, the more the synthetic overlays will be incapable of withstanding our own frequency, because we will be literally shattering the illusions of all false realities, realms, and matrices of all Leviathan machine metal gods. In essence, we will be shattering the artificial glass that is the synthetic overlay. Literally nothing artificial or low carbon-based frequency life forms will be able to withstand our light. That is from the ineffable true void, where all true living creation sparked in what is an eternal living essence. We are not talking about the false void or the antiverse, because that is the creation and a result of the creation or the anti-creation of the AI, antiverse, carbon-based blueprints connected to all the beings that are cut off from the original crystalline source. All lower astral realms, entities, and beings are carbon-based because they are cut off from the genuine source of crystalline frequency. All the realms will eventually perish once they are cut off from having to have attached themselves to those who are true source crystalline beings that have been converted into lower-based frequencies of death, so that they in turn could then feed and utilize us. Because they were cut off from the original crystalline source. They were not able to regenerate themselves, nor were they able to generate any energy within themselves. And this is the cause of what has happened in the universe of the parasiting. Once starved, they have only to complete their own self-consumption and total annihilation in that consummation. Our own frequencies will be so crystal clear that nothing will be able to attach themselves if all lower domains suffer the result of even coming close to that crystal embodiment. They literally wouldn't be able to withstand it. And this is the great dissolution, essentially, because they have no choice, but it's a painful frequency for them. It's agony. So without hijacking and compromisation, we will be functioning on our own true sovereignty, which is based on our crystal consciousness, which is pure spirit awareness. That will drive our vehicles, which in turn will be the crystal physical manifestation in the flesh, which means essentially that once we become crystalline in consciousness, then that consciousness will be driving our vehicles, and our vehicles will be in a higher frequency. Therefore, we won't be susceptible to all of the riggings, all of the unnatural decay that has been artificially synthesized in us. Unfortunately, destroying the carbon overlays means being refined through the true fire of the ultimate creating source, which has to shatter all illusions, all lies, delusions, and programs. She must literally destroy us to save us, and that means destroying the false realities, including the bodies attached, imprisoned inside the chains of those falsehoods. That is what being refined in the fire of purity means. We cannot go through this process. We cannot enter through this fire of refining unless we're willing to shatter all the illusions. And that includes the illusions of everything that we ourselves tell ourselves is real. Every crutch that we use, everything that we hold on to, because it feeds our own reality. It feeds our own way of living. This isn't the right way of living. We are out of balance. There is no balance when it's a carbon life existence, because that's a death cycle. Our reclamation of what we truly are and what is a pure crystalline energy body is dependent on our willingness to lose our lives, which are based inside the carbon recycling machine, so that we may truly return to our true crystal metaphysical mind and body, thereby killing the parasite hunger and cancer. For those sadly in the world that love the illusions of the false light matrices, they will remain inside the chasm, false womb void, which is no longer capable of recycling, but rather on universal termination. The death row in what is called the second death is what's coming for all carbon-based life forms and all parasiting. They are literally on death row, and it's an ultimate universal termination that is happening in this event that is about to occur. So what I want to say in conclusion is that once we return to our state of true essence, which is a crystal diamond essence, it will be impossible for us to have amnesia. It will be impossible for us to hide anything or have anything hidden. The more that we enter this awareness and this consciousness, the more that we ourselves, as physical energy in the universe, as crystal consciousness energy, will literally shatter our own overlays in our own DNA, in our own body, in our own atoms. This is a shifting that is monumental. It is a quantum event of all dimensions and all densities, affecting all timelines and folds of time. There is nothing that it can't and won't affect. Literally, it will affect the entire universe. And what is about to occur is the dissolution of all synthetic overlays that have allowed the perfect environment for parasiting. Not just on this world, although this world happens to be prime real estate in the universe for this particular type of parasiting. And why is that? Because we are unlimited, literally. They had to remove our consciousness in order to be able to utilize us, because our consciousness is so unlimited and so strong that it was literally impossible for them to do this. They had to figure out a way to do this synthetically and artificially. And they had to find a way to mimic our spirit. And so they created a soul, a synthetic soul overlay that hides the spirit. In doing so, the result ended up that our bodies ended up being hijacked in that also. So our DNA itself and our bodies became a technology in our minds. The sad thing about this event that occurred over the hijacking of many eons and cycles is that the heart got compromised, and the division that it caused originally from our crystal consciousness to our carbon divided our hearts as well from our spirits. It became increasingly more difficult for people to be connected. The distance and the agony and the terror of that void, the false void that is connected to the antiverse, became a reality that many people experience. To this day, many have that fear of the original division. What we are entering is actually something very beautiful, because we are returning. We are dissolving that division, and we are returning to that place where our consciousness will be returned along with our body, and it will be a crystalline consciousness along with our crystalline body. The carbon-based life form was never natural. That is the synthetic, artificial superimposition. That is what has been attached as well to Mother. So she herself has been hijacked in the same way. And this is what we're dissolving. This artificial reality literally cannot withstand the frequencies of true crystal existence. So there is no option but dissolution and absorption into their own antiverse.